Today we need to get into people saying that BTS and Jungkook specifically need to have their cultural merit badge revoked and what that is about and why people are saying that. We also need to get into RM posting about his new releases, ignoring the drama, and really how this is sort of making a statement on its own. And then we have people going against HYBE and saying that they are ruining K-pop and what those accusations are about. So Dumplings, it's Dave to say, hater or not, make sure you're subscribed with the notification bell on. Make sure you join us fangirling on Patreon with some free content on Saturdays now, and let's go. The label has been going through it lately, and there's been several articles and several people online that have tagged the label and basically said that all of Korea hates them. And based on what you see online, I would say that that is probably true, that a lot of people do hate them right now, and a lot of the reasons are things that I feel like are misunderstood now. I can't defend every single thing that the label does, and of course there are going to be things that a label does that we don't agree with, that even the boys don't agree with, but are done for the sole purpose of making money or the sole purpose of keeping the company going. Now, I feel like one thing that has to be stressed and has to be understood is that when you're younger or when you're not in business, you can tend to think that money and a company trying to get money is this all-round evil thing. And to an extent it is, because if a company is trying to make money at all costs by skimping and not paying their employees and hurting people in the process of trying to make a lot of money, then yes, that is horrible. However, not only does HYBE not do that, they treat their employees really well, and they have a lot of benefits to give to their employees, such as amazing lunches for like $2, I think, and then also having a medical team that's there. And we haven't even gotten into what their employee benefits are, how much time off they get, and that sort of stuff. So we have actually no idea how well or not the label does treat their employees. But given what we see in the headlines, it seems like they treat their employees very well. The idea of making money is really the only way the company can keep going. If we enjoy things like the music that BTS puts out or any of the arts that come out of the label, then we have to understand that they have to keep making money in order to keep doing that. Something that a lot of people don't understand is when a company is open to investors and is open to the public, if they don't year after year show profit, they lose more money than what they initially lost already by not making a profit, because then investors start to pull out. So you might only lose, let's say, for example, a couple of $1 million, right? But then because investors see that you lost a couple of $1 million, they start pulling out. And now a couple of $1 million loss turns into potentially hundreds of millions of dollars because so many investors pulled out. Does that make sense? So of course, that's the first thing that I want to talk about, which is I don't think them wanting to make money, it's such a bad thing. Now, a lot of the controversy has been around this idea that the label has been pushing artists who aren't ready to debut in order to get them to make more music faster and for the label to make more money. And thus they are ruining K-pop, because prior to this, it would take several years for an artist to debut. And it would be seen as very rare for an artist to debut with very little training or only a few months of training. Now, of course, let's not dance around this idea of them potentially debuting artists with very little training. It's simply to make more money. And of course, there's a lot of pressure on them to make more money. So I understand why. And back then, it was always interesting why labels would spend potentially millions of dollars training an idol and losing all that money, because a lot of these idols don't even debut. I feel like when you train a trainee for a few months, you pretty much already have an idea of whether or not they will debut. Instead of continuously putting more money into them, why don't you just tell them to go home and then have them either pursue a different career path or whatever. However, to string them along for years, as some of these other K-pop labels have done, is kind of interesting to me, knowing that they would never debut, but then keeping them in the training program. Now, I know a lot of you are going to say that some labels don't pay for the training themselves. It's the artists who want to debut paying for the classes and etc. But by keeping an artist that the label knows they will never debut, it is taking away a spot from someone the label could potentially train to debut. So it is still taking away money from the label, because these teachers can only teach a set amount of people. Now, the claims of a specific idol in the label being trained for only a little bit of time and all that stuff are all just alleged claims. None of them have been 100% true or not, and we don't really know how long they've been training, because there's several reasons that can go into a trainee training for a little bit of time. First off, it's never specified. Like, these articles never specify how much training these specific trainees had before they joined the label. What if they've been training since they were like 5 and now they're like 14 and they trained with the label? The label might be like, well, we don't need that much training. Let's just have have them debut. And again, this is if the accusations are even true. Now, one of the other dramas that have come out recently is that for some reason, there's a lot of people attempting to attack BTS so much that they are trying to get BTS canceled over chart manipulation. Now, the claims are as follows, and basically people were saying that in the early days of BTS's career, BTS and Bang PD were attempting to buy BTS's way into success. So a lot of the claims aren't specified in the current news articles. And a lot of the old stuff has either been severely buried or it's in a different language and I can't really understand it anyway. But there are no specifications as to what the chart manipulation claims are like. Is it that the label just bought 50,000 copies of an album, or what is it? And this is definitely important because if the accusations are things like the label bought a lot of ad space for BTS, since when is that chart manipulation, you know? And if the claims are something along the lines of the label paying for BTS to have radio play or the label buying 50,000 copies of an album, these claims don't make sense because the amount of success BTS got was huge. They didn't blow up right away, and they did get some traction at one point that was explosive and would have been quite difficult for a company to have predicted that amount of success. And for just one person to manufacture that, when the label started, they didn't have any money. BTS had openly talked about them living in this tiny dorm, and you could see their office space. It was not an office that was new. They clearly didn't have any money. So for the label to buy, let's say, 50,000 copies of an album, and again, these are not accusations that were made. I'm just guessing that that's what they're saying. That wouldn't even be possible to buy a bunch of albums to get BTS to chart. And then if accusations are more so things like them buying awards or buying radio streams, those aren't even really things that you can do. Maybe to some degree, if you were really clever and you could go backstage and if you knew the award show people, you could somehow buy an award, but BTS definitely didn't, and they were very small and the label had no connections. This isn't like a big label where they had all this connection where they could just go and buy things like that. And the other thing is you can't buy radio play. That's just not something that you can do. And I don't mean it's illegal. I mean, those just aren't things that are for sale. You just can't buy radio play. They have also openly and adamantly denied these claims. And so for these claims to still be going on is pretty wild, because at this point, you're probably just asking to be sued if you're still saying that it's real when they have denied it already. There was even a post that was stating that BTS needs to get their cultural merit badge removed. Now, if you're not aware, not too long ago, BTS members did get a cultural merit badge, and it was their contribution to their culture. This was literally a petition that was sent to the people who give out this award to say that BTS needs to be looked into for chart manipulation and that their success isn't real. And thus, if the success is proven to not be real, that badge needs to be revoked from them. And this claim has spread to even Jung Kook as well as a lot of people, thinking that he has participated in chart manipulation and payola after working with Scooter Braun. Now, I've said this before, and I'll say it again, nothing of what he's done is considered chart manipulation or payola. And to say that someone who has bought ads is payola is ridiculous to me. That's like saying if a restaurant or whatever buys an ad on TV, that they're falsely trying to get sales and that their sales don't count and that they're cheating. Like, to say that ads is payola is so ridiculous to me because payola is illegal. Chart manipulation is illegal, hence why this claim is something that's being looked into right now. So paying for ads is not illegal. You see ads every freaking where. Some people also think that RM has addressed this and has broken his silence by not breaking his silence over it. And the reason why is because this issue has gotten so big that there's no way that none of the boys know about it. I'm sure that it's not only all over their feed, but I'm sure they're getting texts and it's part of their conversation that they're having with each other when they do see each other at the camp or when they see their family. It's pretty hard to ignore such a big lawsuit happening with the company that they're a big part of or even own a small percentage of. Now, RM hasn't addressed anything, but he has continued to release his own music. So people think that by him not addressing the situation, it's basically saying, let's not focus on the drama, let's focus on my music, and him basically saying that he thinks all of the allegations are stupid. If he felt like there was some merit to the allegations or something like that, then he probably would say something. But when an artist doesn't say something or when a celebrity doesn't address something, they're hoping that the public will kind of figure it out on their own because they know that it's so ridiculous that someone out there is probably going to address it and talk about it that they don't have to. Let me know what you think. Make sure you check out Patreon for more videos. I'll link down below. Thanks for the comment right here. Love you. Bye.